Episode 41, the Photime Podcast. This time through, CW. How you learn it, how to make it work for you, coming up.
MTCRadio.com presents Photime, the other ham radio podcast. Found online at PhotimePodcast.com. Now, here's your host, Cale Nelson, K4CDN.
Merry Christmas from the Photime Podcast. I'm Cale, your host, Kilo 4 Charlie Delta November. Thank you so much for coming by the podcast. Now, I'm an amateur radio operator. I'm also a hobbyist podcaster, as well as a stay-at-home dad with a van full of kids. And this is part of my contribution back to the hobby, which I really, really dearly love, amateur radio. Now, you may not even have a license right now, or you may be studying or just have gotten your license. Well, if that's you, you're in the exact perfect place you could be. This podcast is catered directly to you. That doesn't mean that folks who have been around for, I don't know, since Nikola Tesla was out. I'm just kidding. If you've been licensed a long time, you're welcome to hang out here too. We really actually appreciate you being here because you can contribute so much to the community as we all learn about this awesome hobby, amateur radio. So thank you all for being here. If you've just recently tested and passed and gotten your license, or if you've upgraded, congratulations. We love to hear those stories, so make sure you let us know. Now, just to let you know, you can find everything you want to know about this podcast on our website, photimepodcast.com, F-O-T-I-M-E, podcast.com. Show notes, links to older shows. We have a player there that you can scroll through and listen to all the episodes that we've posted before. Just a lot of fun, a lot of stuff there. We like to communicate, to interact with you so you can comment on the programs, ask questions. We also are on all the social media sites, so make sure you find us there as well. And one of the places you really need to be looking if you're on the internet right now, especially if you're getting into the hobby or just recently upgraded, is MTC Radio. Now, Richard hasn't lost his mind. He didn't drive his big diesel dually into a lake and go crazy or anything, but he did kind of go off the edge just a little bit. He's got a big contest, giveaway kind of a thing going on down there at MTCRadio.com right now, and we've only got about a week left to take advantage of this thing, but here's the deal. If you go to MTCRadio.com and you buy something, and it happens to snow in Paris, Texas, on January the 1st, 2016, at least 1 inch in their parking lot there, they're going to refund you the total purchase price of most everything you buy on their website. All the details are online. If you think I'm crazy, that's okay, because I thought he was crazy when he told me to. You can check it out at mtcradio.com. Of course, we have a link to them from our website, so make sure you check out our show sponsor, mtcradio.com.
This is Jason, K6DGN from Union City, California, and you're listening to the Photime Podcast.
This portion of the Photime Podcast is brought to you by Kenwood USA and all their great gear that can be found right now at mtcradio.com. Really, really awesome sale going on for Photime listeners on the Kenwood TS590 Sierra Golf, the brand new one. It's unbelievably priced right now, and you have to have the Photime code, which you have to find on the Photime website to get the deals, okay? So make sure you check out the website, get the deals, and get your brand new Kenwood TS590 SG at mtcradio.com today. The other day, I was on the local 440 machine with my buddy Justin, KI4WFJ, and we were talking about Morse code. I knew that Justin had been trying to learn, and he had been really applying himself into learning actual sending and receiving the Morse code, the CW, but I didn't really realize how far he had gotten. And through conversation, I thought to myself, this is something we need to share with the listener, because I know there's a lot of guys out there like me who would like to learn Morse code but really don't know where to start. And we've talked about Morse code some here and there on the programs. We talked about it really a good bit with KB6NU, our buddy Dan Romanchik, who may be working on some podcasting, by the way. Come on, Dan, get to work. Also, we've talked to George, and we've talked to we talked to Bruce. We've talked a lot about Morse code, but we really haven't gotten to the new guy's perspective, where we're trying to learn or where we should go to learn how we should do those things. So I wanted to bring Justin in. Now, he came by the farm just this past Saturday. We sat down up here and just had a casual conversation, recorded it for you. I want to share that with you now. So here's me and I shouldn't have said me first, but I did. Here's Justin and myself, KI4WFJ and K4CDN. Yeah, Merry Christmas from the Photime Podcast. It's Kale, K4CDN, and it's kind of almost funny that I have a neighbor. I guess I consider it a neighbor. 4.5 miles away as the crow flies.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah. KI4WFJ. Justin Ormby is a friend of mine here, and it's kind of funny. We didn't realize that we actually lived pretty close to each other and had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just kind of on the repeater one day. It's like, I'm going down to Pauline. I'm like, well, I am too. Why are you going there? So, I wanted to bring Justin on because, of course, now Justin is a licensed amateur extra, and he doesn't have one of those really short call signs. We'll talk about that later because I want to know why. But he's done something that I haven't done. Well, two things. Firstly, three things. He still has his Jetta diesel. He has his amateur extra, and he's recently taught himself Morse code, CW. And we've talked a lot about that in the past here on the program, about learning and why we should learn. And in talking to Justin and some of our other friends here locally, it really has inspired me, although I haven't done anything about it except play with the app on my phone, learning Morse code. And Justin, first tell us a little bit about how you got into amateur radio, why you got into amateur radio, how in the world you convinced your wife to get into amateur radio, and then tell us a little bit about why you want to learn Morse code.
Alrighty. Well, I guess got into amateur radio back in college. I stumbled upon, or was into the off-roading community, and we used a lot of CBs or that was the, I guess, go-to radio for truck-to-truck communication. So went and looked and got one installed in my truck, or installed one into my truck, and was listening at night, similar to Kale's story, and heard guys far away, going up and down the interstate, running, illegal power on CB, but got me interested, and I don't know, just piqued my interest, and was talking to some friends just at school that year, and bumped into a guy, friend that was a ham and got licensed. I forget. He had his general, and he was licensed as a kid, probably when he was under 10 years old, I think, or somewhere around 10. His family sailed the world on a sailboat, a 30-foot sailboat. So
nice.
He was kind of resentful towards it because he felt his parents forced him into it. And forced him to learn Morse code because it was a requirement back then. But they used it for communication when they were out at sea on their boat. But he kind of pointed me in the direction of ham, even though he wasn't really active. But I found out there's a school club and went to see this club sponsor, and he set me up with where I needed to find information to get study questions for the test, and I basically sat down and studied the technician and general portions and tested and got my general in the first shot. But it was lucky for me. I was a mechanical engineering student at the time, and a lot of the stuff on the general exam we were actually learning in class. So there's a lot of it wasn't too hard for me for the general because most of it was fresh in my mind.
Cool.
So.
And did you use your amateur at all in the off-roading community stuff, or did that just kind of pass, or what?
Well, I kept the CB, and down in Florida, they use the CB on trail rides, but it's kind of funny coming up here. Nobody seems to use CB anymore. They've switched over to the FRS, handy-talkie radios. They pretty much give you the same range as a CB in a typical installation, it seems, but they only cost a fraction, and you carry it in your hand. You take it with you.
But you don't get it like an Echo mic or anything.
No, or the Roger Beep or any of that. Yeah. But,
so tell us how, just real lightly, how you got your wife in amateur radio.
Well, I was back in college too. I was probably about a year or so after I got mine. The club was really small, and I ended up being the president of K4FAU, the Florida Atlantic University's amateur club there for the time I was there. I was basically one of the few students with a ham license that was active in the club. There were a few others that a whole group of friends got licensed. We were going on a road trip, and we wanted to use radios between cars, and kind of with that reasoning or that goal, that's kind of what got my wife to get her license, and that's mainly what we use it for. She doesn't like getting on the repeater and still's awkward talking, but sees the utility in having the license and being able to get on.
My wife sees the utility in her smartphone. Yeah, it's just a few days away is my birthday. It's also the day that The Force Awakens. We'll talk about that later. And that's what I've told her I wanted for my birthday. I just wanted her to test, and I don't think it's going to happen. I really thought it was going to happen maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And I got her the KB6NU no-nonsense study guides, and she read through the whole thing, and she said, that made absolutely no sense to me. And I should have silenced my phone. She said it makes no sense to me, so therefore I'm not going to do it. So sorry. Anyway, tell me a little bit about what you do. You said you were in school as an engineering student. I know what you do, and I think he's got one of the coolest jobs around. So just give us real quick what you do, and then I want to talk about how you taught yourself CW.
All right. Well, I got a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and then came up to Clemson here, got a master's in automotive engineering, and right now I work for a Freightliner custom chassis, and we do chassis. Basically, we'll design a chassis for you if you wanted to put a body on it or put an RV on it or any type of project like that. I work with customers and kind of go between our engineering department and the customer and get them what features they need in a chassis and make sure that what's coming off the production line is what they're wanting.
So if we got a couple of multimillionaires listening that are amateurs who want to build a rolling go box, they can call you and you can get the bottom end built for them. Big diesel pusher, MCOM truck. That'd be awesome. Uncle Sam gets all the cool toys. So there's a handful of us here that like to try to hang out on our 440 machine and keep up with each other and almost kind of like the noise blanker guys from Arkansas who are like not a club but just a group of like-minded friends who like to maybe not always talk about eating at the Golden Corral or something. And anyway, through conversation, I learned that Justin wanted to learn or had been learning CW, but he had nobody to talk to, and he would like to try to connect with someone local. Well, it just so happens our buddy David, Alpha Kilo 4 Indigo Charlie, was a licensed extra, and he was wanting someone to practice some CW with as well. I know that wasn't the final straw, but that's something you guys have utilized. But before we get to that point, tell us a little bit about how you made the determination that you wanted to know CW, and then how did you go about learning it? Because I think there's a lot of guys listening, and gals, to the program, even myself included, who think maybe it's too hard or maybe it's only for smart people with masters in, car engineering or something, not the typical Kel from the farm guy. But how did you do it? What are some hints? Let's just talk about all those things.
Well, I guess when I first heard about, from my friend back in college that he had to learn Morse code, I thought, that it'd be impossible, or that I couldn't fathom being able to decipher that type of stuff in my head. And I'm not sure when exactly I was interested in learning or pursuing that, but I think it started early because I remember it took several different attempts to get through the alphabet before I was successful just recently. So I think I was talking over with my wife, and I think it was about 5 years worth of going back and forth. I was in school and between degrees and stuff, and so I never really had to. I gave the excuse that I didn't have the time to sit down and do it. But I tried once and got up to almost halfway, say like a third of the way through, and then it got to the point where it was starting to get hard, and it wasn't just as easy as picking out between the R and the M letter characters, and then I went away for probably a year or so and came back to it and tried a little bit, and actually I did try in college. I remember going through a computer, cleaning it up before reformatting. I found one of the Morse code training softwares on the computer, and I didn't realize I had installed it back then. But I remember going through it several times before, actually.
It's crazy to me to think about people like Bruce Jewett, who've been on the show, and he sends and receives 45 words a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's not even fair. Yeah. Of course, Bruce he probably could be my dad. He's been around longer than I have. But it's I listen to the trainers, I listen to the Coke trainers or whatever. 20 words a minute is where I would try to learn, I guess, coming in, and we could talk about that too. 4 or 5 letters, I'm good, man. But when I get past 4 or 5 of the first letters, I'm like you. I'm just ready to throw my hat in. And what was the final push? What made you cross that bridge, and how did you accomplish that?
Well, I'd always heard, learning languages is best done when you're under 30, and I'm just getting up there now. I'm 29 this year.
He had to say that, didn't he?
Yeah. So I guess I was feeling urgency there, and not that I couldn't learn it after I turned 30, but I felt my bet if I learned it, the sooner I learned it, the better off I'd be as far as retaining it and how easy it would be. So that's kind of, I'd already gotten halfway through the alphabet once, and I was like, there's only 26 letters, and 10 numbers, that I have to learn. I've already done 13. I just got to brush up on them. So went back and I made it a goal to get through it. So as soon as I learned them well enough to differentiate them I think I was going, I did not learn them slow. I learned them at a character speed of probably 15 words a minute, and that's what I would suggest. So I tried to avoid the pitfall of counting the individual dashes and dots, and as I made it the goal to get through the alphabet and the numbers to get on the air, because that is when it becomes fun. It's not fun sitting there banging your head against the wall trying to, learn the different characters on a listening to a tape or whatever playing the program or whatever, however you're choosing to do it. But what it is fun and useful, and you see the benefits of all your hard work is once you finally get on the air and use it.
Did you use a phone app? Did you use something on a computer? Because you mentioned a computer. Yeah. Or did you just kind of combo it? Did you do the CDs, the tapes, or what did you do? Yeah,
I didn't do the tapes. I had tried a computer program for like a desktop or a laptop, and I never found myself having time to sit down after work at a computer for hours or 30 minutes. Or I usually recommend at least short segments, but several of them throughout the day. And to try and do that, I couldn't use a computer, so I went with a phone app and used some apps on Android. Of course, I can't remember.
That's okay. We'll figure them out. We'll put them in the show notes. Cause I've got a couple on my phone. Let's see if you've used any of these. Let's see here. The IZ2 Uniform Fox.
Yes, I think so.
There's also a Coke trainer that our buddy Nick in 3WG put together. I like that one. Okay. Both of those you just listen and copy.
Yes. Yeah.
The other one that I've just recently found is Morse Toad. It's like a Frogger game. Of course, it doesn't show you jumping across the pond, but it's one of those that you hear and then you choose from the alphabet what you've heard. Yeah. So we'll figure out the apps that were successful with Justin. Of course, the ones I just mentioned as well. And now those are Android apps. You smart people with your iPhones, we we'll try to figure out there as well. But
yeah.
And you're a Windows Phone user over here sometimes.
Yeah, and there's one good one on the Windows Phone, and that's sounds like that Frogger or Morse Toad, where you hear it and you have to click the button in order to get it. And it does it in the proper I think it's the Coke sequence.
Right, the K and the M.
Yep.
And then build out of there.
It does it in that sequence, and if you get enough of them right, then it adds another letter, and it does that until you're done. And that is one of the final tools I used to brush up, because I could get through the alphabet, but there was some that I would get mixed up or twisted, like the P and the X. I'd still sometimes have trouble, or F and an L. But that hearing it and then clicking the button and doing it as fast as you can really helps it become a reflex rather than a process that you have to think about.
Right.
And I think that's the key is for it to come as a reflex. You don't even think. And it just, you hear the noise and the character appears in your brain.
Now, do you when you operate now, do you decode in your head or do you write it down?
Well, on the slower QSOs, I find myself, and I still find myself in general, trying to hand copy everything. But I know I'm going to need to move away from that. Yeah. I've only really been on the air with CW since January of this year, and but you can hand copy probably up until about 15 words a minute, and then you can't write that fast anymore, or at least I can't.
You can't listen and write at the same time that fast.
And some people type with either a keyboard on a computer, or some folks even use a typewriter. If you're a hipster, so. Yeah, so that'll get your copy speed up if you're wanting to hand copy everything. But the true speed comes when you can head copy, and that's if I play in a contest or a sprint, that's what I end up usually doing. And I can just, instead of writing it down, I'll just write it into the logging program, or I'll know what. It's easier when you know what's coming. Mm-hmm. So instead of general QSO, you don't know what questions he's going to ask. You know exactly what they're going to send on an exchange for a contest. I want to talk about some of that contesting and some of the other groups online or on the air that you've talked to here in just a couple of minutes. We're talking with Justin. His call is KI4WFJ. Justin Orme, a buddy of mine, also a neighbor, and a recently converted CW user. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to the Photon Podcast.
Main Trading Company, celebrating 6 years in the amateur radio business. Visit the website www.mtcradio.com and be sure to give us a call if you don't see what you're looking for. And if you happen to catch Danielle on the phone, she's our latest employee at Main Trading Company, and she just got her tech license. Congratulations to our very own Danielle Varner at Main Trading Company. Give us a call for all your ham radio needs, 903-737-0773.
This portion of the Photon Podcast is brought to you by ICOM America and all their D-Star rigs. Yeah, I still haven't gotten there. I just don't have a repeater close enough for me and don't have enough bandwidth to do the hotspot. So don't feel sorry for me. Go make it happen for yourself, and make it happen now at mtcradio.com. Yeah, this is the time to purchase your D-Star gear from mtcradio.com. If it snows, it's free. We talked about that. Not to mention that he's got the lowest price in the world on the India Delta ID51A, which is the D-Star handy talkie. He's got a lot of them in stock. He'd like to sell you one, and he will even discount it down to $299 with free shipping, which is a great deal. That's not the only thing they have in stock, though. They carry the entire range of ICOM gear, from the 2-meter handhelds all the way up to the big, massive contesting rigs. So if you're looking for some ICOM gear, make sure you check out mtcradio.com. Yes, Cal back with Justin Orme, KI4WFJ, and Justin's a buddy of mine, like I've mentioned a couple of times, lives just up the road here from me, and really appreciate you guys checking us out. We're talking about Morse code, CW. Justin's been operating with Morse code for almost a year now. He spent, I don't know, about 5 years teaching himself how to do it on and off. Now, he's a really smart guy. It didn't take him 5 years to learn it, but just like it took me, I mean, it was 16 years that I read manuals to test for the technician before I ever took the test. I'm not that slow. I was just that lazy. And that's probably going to be the case with me regarding, learning CW. I am a little jealous now because two of my buddies, Justin and our friend David, AK4IC, I say it phonetically easier than I do without phonetics. Alpha Kilo 4 Indigo Charlie. David and Justin get to chat with each other. Are y'all still doing a weekly chat or trying to keep that going?
We need to start it back up.
Okay. They were doing really good for a while. Yeah. And they were doing 10 meters? 10 or 80?
80.
80 meters.
Yeah.
And they were doing 80 meter, just QSOing it at night, chilling, talking to each other, helping each other, operating CW with each other, which is what it takes. And that's what I want to talk about now. We've talked about the apps that helped you. We've talked about some of the computer programs you can use. We've talked about why you wanted to do it. But what about some things like the SKCC and other on-air groups and whatnot that are out there that you've participated with that folks may not be aware of or may not understand what they're there for?
Okay. Yeah, I'm part of the Stray Key Century Club, and I found them as I was learning as I was teaching myself Morse code. And they have resources there where you can, if you want a code buddy to practice like David and I were, you can email them and they'll set you up with somebody who's willing to make a schedule and have an appointment and you go practice. But the Stray Key Century Club is focused on like traditional methods without using electronic keyer. So for any of the contacts to count towards their awards or their events, they want you to be using a manual keyer, either a straight key or a side swipe paddle or like a bug. So, and I started with a straight key. That's the way I wanted to go. So I started off with a straight key. So that kind of fit into what equipment I had to work with. And they don't really push fast speeds, unlike other groups like CW Ops, which they promote higher speed CW, 20 words and up, which we can talk about later. I'm signed up for their Morse Academy, or CW Academy, for this spring, and that's a program they put together where they tutor you to get you up above 20 words a minute and help you pick your speed up once you already know CW. But back on Stray Key Century Club, that really helped me, give me a reason to get on the air. They have certain frequencies that their members typically hang out on. They do monthly events. They have a little 2-hour contest they call the Stray Key Sprint, and that usually is on a Wednesday or something from 8 to 10 or something like that. It changes based on your time zone, but all that information's on their website. But that helps you get out there, and you can just make contacts to get rid of the nerves. And they're very simple, short QSOs. You don't have to worry about thinking of something to say or ask, or worrying about what he's going to ask you. You know what he's going to send, and you send back what what's in your exchange. And so it's a good way to get on the air and without get rid of your nerves and give you a reason to get out and operate.
And they don't hear this really squeaky chair you're sitting in either when you're operating with a straight key.
Yeah,
that's my chair, guys. It's not anything else that you hear in the back. I need some new chairs in my shack, man. I actually need some new room. But so you've participated with the Straight Key Century Club. They've been good to you? You've enjoyed participating with them?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. They're more than helpful and willing to slow down to literally as slow as you could imagine going. As slow as you need them to go, they'll slow down for you. One of the first contacts I got on and made with them was a guy down in Georgia on, I think it was 40 meters during the summer. And he volunteered to help me, if I wanted to get back on and practice, or, if we need to go slower or faster or whatever help I needed, he was offering to help me get better at getting on the air because I'd shared with him that I was brand new. And another cool thing the Stray Key Century Club has is kind of a chat room webpage thing where you can go in and you can see what other members are online, what frequencies they're on, and you can request schedules or QSOs to, if you're working on any type of awards for there, or if you just want a contact. So, what
are you operating with at home?
I have an ICOM 718 that I got when I was back in college, and I use that with a straight key, a SpeedX by Night Viking straight key. I've since gotten some paddles to try and get the speed, in preparation for getting my speed up.
Yeah,
because you can do about 20 words a minute on a straight key, and then you start that probably maxes out
as far as you want to go with that one.
Yeah. So anything, if you wanted to do 20 words a minute a long time, but for extended amount of time, you probably would want to use a paddle or a bug.
Just don't tell Fritz.
Yeah.
Just don't tell Fritz.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going slow.
But Fritz has been doing it, since our granddaddies were in World War II and whatever. So, now, do you think that operating and learning CW has enhanced your desire to participate in the amateur hobby?
I think so. I think it was it's a completely different world opens up once you learn it, right. And it's really hard to explain until you experience it. But it's very odd. It's kind of like it's kind of nostalgic. It brings you back to roots, and you realize you're communicating the same way that
Tesla did.
They used to, yeah. And learning a skill that's kind of archaic now, and it may not make a lot of sense to some people, but it's kind of neat to be able to, it's a kind of a way for me to relive history, I guess, and participate in something that took place back then. And the type of operators you meet on CW are completely different than voice operators. They're not, I have not really met a rude one yet. Yeah. And they're just more than willing to help. I hadn't got on there yet. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool because, of course, the argument, I think the argument, we talked about this last show, I think the argument of code versus no code, I think we're pretty much done with that. We're going to argue about Chinese handy-talkies now, and how, if you don't pay $350, you don't really have a real handy-talkie kind of a thing. But, of course, Andy won't like that.
No.
But that's okay. Neither will Pokey. But, to me, I could be imagining this, but everyone that I talk to, and we talked to a lot of people here on the show, whether we're on the air or are we off the air talking in conversation, everyone that participates in CW has seen an uptick in CW. Here, since we don't have to learn it anymore, it seems like more people want to learn it.
Yeah.
It was what kept me out of getting a license for years. I mean, I could show you my old my no code tech study guide that Radio Shack did years ago. But I never even took the test. But anyway, I still got the book. Anyway, it seems to me that there's a lot of people learning it. It seems to me that it makes a lot of sense to know how to learn it. And it would also seem to me that it would really enhance the hobby for someone, just like for me. Now, Justin's here in my shack with me now. He knows it's 75 yards from my house, up a hill, so it's not in my, and I can't get up here to operate real easily when you've got 5 kids to cook breakfast for, right?
Yep.
If I was a CW guy or even digital, we'll do another show about that one day. But doing CW, I could sit there in the house with a 5-watt rig with the antenna up in the tree in the backyard, and not bother anyone, not have to walk up here, not have to be talking, because that's one of the things. CW, you're not expressing, so you can sit there and your wife's watching Falcon Crest, and she's not mad because you're on the radio.
Yeah.
Now, they can't see this, but I have seen it. You've built a nice little kit rig that you use. Tell us a little bit about what you built,
okay,
how hard it was to build it, and then what you do with it.
All right. Yeah, I guess one of the reasons that drew me to CW also, in addition to the ones we've already talked about, was the ability to get into a small portable radio. And if you look out there, it seems if you want one, want a small portable QRP radio, the ones that are affordable tend to be Morse code only. So I didn't have about $1,000 to spend on a KX3.
We had to say that, didn't we?
Yeah, just got to bring the KX3 into the discussion.
Call me.
But it did have this one was about $280, and it's a 3-band. It's the PFR3B. You can find it on QRPkits.com, and it's a really well put together kit. It has everything you need to do. You don't have to be painting the case or anything. It comes with the case. It comes with all the parts, and instructions are really good. I got it. I ordered mine right after they started production of them again. They switched over to the version B from the version A, and there's some programming hiccups on the some of the computer chips that go on the main board there, but they sent out. I just got them in the mail the other day, so I got them installed, the updated chips. So haven't had a chance to test it out, but I'm sure they fixed what bugs the original version had. But great kit. Took me about 15 hours to build it, and I sat down and just crammed. It was I sat down and just like all Saturday worked on it, all Sunday worked on it, and Friday night worked on it, and was able to knock it out, get it most like 90% there, over one weekend of solid work.
Enough to plug the battery in just to see it light up and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tricky parts to it, like winding toroids that some folks think are, I guess it can be tricky, but they went smooth enough for me. I did have a mishap with one, but had enough wire to rewind it. But had some insulation scrape off, but everything went together. It fired up and it worked.
It's a nice looking little rig too. I like the safety yellow color.
Yeah, it's it's kind of like the size of a small tablet, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fits in suitcase, easy to take. So.
And what do you do with it? Tell the listener what you try to do with it during the week.
I guess right now that it's getting into colder weather here, I finally was able to get out and on a lunch break just take it to, there's a local park that's out of the way, and just have, I think it's about a 60-foot piece of old 14-gauge stranded wire that I have back. I bought that wire who knows when, and just have that, and there's a hunk of plywood tied to one end as a weight, and I just sling it up into a tree, and there's a picnic table, wire drapes down to the picnic table, and this the PFR3B has a built-in tuner, so it's all contained. It runs on 8 AA's inside, gives you about 4.5 watts on the internal power. If you plugged in 12 volts, you get 5 watts. But it has internal batteries, got its own tuner. It'll run off of, it has a BNC port or a balance line input on the outside or on the case. So all you need literally are end-fed half-wave wire and a little bit of counterpoise to throw on the ground, and plug in your straight key or your paddles. It has an internal keyer and your headphones, and you're off to the races. It does 40 meters, 30 meters, and 20 meters.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think having built that challenge, having it built now, makes you want to operate more than it did before, or is it just a way to enhance what you've already done?
I guess it gives me an excuse to get out and.
That's what we need, an excuse.
Yeah. I got to use this radio. I just
spent $280 and spent my whole weekend with my wife looking over my shoulder, wanting to know why I wasn't helping in the sink washing dishes or something.
No, it does. I think it enhances as well, because it's not when it's all. I looked at other kit radios, and there's there's a lot out there that is just the radio, and then you build a tuner, and then you carry a battery. So you have 3 things you have to carry that are separate, plus an antenna, and your keying device and headphones. So this made it a lot simpler. It's just one box. I plop it on the table, throw a wire in the tree, and I'm up and on the air in about 5 minutes. And then
That's pretty awesome.
You can pack it up even quicker because I just have a electric cord winder,
Right.
that the wire's wound on. So
You use it at home at all, or is it just your 718 at the house and then you just go portable with that?
I've used it at home when I was testing it out, and I have a converter that I just hook it up into my antenna, and you can bypass the tuner, and it works just fine. I've used it a little bit there. The benefit to the kit radio over the 718 is my 718 doesn't have any CW filters. So when I'm listening, I'm in a typical QSO, I can hear probably 3 other signals that I have to decipher, and that makes it hard for a beginner. And that's one thing that is nice about if you had a radio that had filters, they're highly recommended. But
the filters for the 718 probably cost what the 718 costs.
They cost about what the kit radio costs, about $200 for a filter. So.
Another excuse for the 7200 or the FT 450 there, for you guys looking to buy a new radio.
Yeah.
A little bit going back just a little bit to training, to getting on the air with, say, the Straight Key Century Club, on the air with David at K4IC. How important do you think that is to get an operating buddy, an Elmer, someone in the same park that you're in, trying to learn along with you? Would you be where you're at today if you had not taken those steps? Was it that important to be able to do that?
Yeah, I'd say that it definitely. I probably would have gotten to where I am today eventually, but I think it was a lot quicker having a resource to go and have somebody willing to practice, know that you aren't going to be embarrassed if you messed up.
Right.
And that was a big thing. I was nervous, getting on, and you will make a mess. You will mess up, and I see people do it. You always mess up at some point, and you just there's for when you're on the air, it's just you just make a series of dits that aren't a character. It's usually like 8 or so dits, and it's a mess up, and then you just repeat, start over with the word. It's not a big deal. So, but it did help, and it was it's good even to have a practice buddy or a mentor that will and a way to communicate, either Skype or you can do it over a repeater. David and I did it using a repeater to comment back and forth on sending styles or stuff. You're messing up on this, or you sound great here, need some improvement there. But yeah, and even with the Straight Key Century Club, they have the chat page, or they have a messaging service or emails that I've used to go back and forth with members there, and it definitely helps.
Are you excited about the CW Academy?
Yeah.
I know some guys have done it. They say it's pretty intense, pretty serious.
Yeah, it's they're not fooling around. Yeah, I got the the lesson plan, and you are expected to practice 30 minutes a day at least.
Wow.
And they give you there's a computer program you're supposed to spend some time with. That's on a website, and that one of their members has written specifically for the program, and then they have Skype sessions for this particular level. Later levels they actually get on the air, but this one you're in like a Skype message room with everybody in the class, and you have a straight key with a side tone oscillator, or paddles with a side tone generator that you will use, and that noise will be sent over Skype. So, but it's kind of a multifaceted approach there, and it's 8 weeks, and you meet 2 days a week. So it's
and your new high-speed internet connection will really help with that.
Yeah, it will. Yes.
Yeah, he's got UVerse at his house, 4 miles away. He lives off a side road, and we can't get it here on the main highway. This is just totally insane, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's not fair.
He's learning, and I'm just complaining. So before we let you go, Justin, excuse me, you looking out in the future, kids notwithstanding, if that happens, because he hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
We're going to get him there. He's got way too much hair right now. Do you see this CW becoming one of your more favorite ways to operate on the radio, or just something that you're glad you've got the ability to do it?
I'll tell you, it already has become probably my preferred, mode on HF at least. I play with the digital, and I spent more time tinkering, getting the radio to transmit the right stuff than I did actually transmitting.
Right.
And with voice, I just never had the desire to get on and really make contacts, but it changed with CW, and now I have a desire to get on and play. So I know so far I've not done hardly any voice contacts on HF this entire year. It's been mainly Morse code. And the only voice I really use is VHF repeater in the car.
Because the UHF, he can't get it from his house, which is...
Yeah, that's another
Who
story.
knows? Who knows about that one? There's a gremlin standing between his house and the repeater at 680 feet above ground level.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, man, thank you for coming in.
Sure.
We've been trying to do this for a few weeks, and glad to get you on. Justin's going to the movie with me, right? You still going?
Yeah.
We're going. We're
Still
going December 18th at 10:05 in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I think now I'm dyslexic. I'm going to say it wrong. I think it's NGC Cinemas, but it may be NCG.
I forget.
It's on the east side of town, and I believe Andy's going to go with us too.
Okay.
So we're. Are you? How big of a Star Wars fan are you? Because we got to talk about it. This is like the biggest thing to talk about this week.
My wife's going too.
Oh,
So,
she is.
yeah.
Cool. Sarah's
The
cool.
whole big-
So that'll be
big
cool.
group. But yeah, we were talking about. We just watched. We decided to watch them leading up to the release here.
Oh, no
And,
way. She sat down and watched them all with you?
Not yet.
Okay.
We've started.
Going to. Okay.
Yeah, we've watched episode 1, and for the first time we're actually going to watch them in the plot chronological order instead of the release date chronological, which is the only way I've ever watched them before.
Right.
But, I don't know. It was 99. I think I was what?
I was married.
13 or something.
I
when
was
that came
married.
out. I saw it at theaters. I remember seeing episode 1 when it came out. But we're pretty. We're not fanatics.
Yeah.
But we're fans.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you excited about the new film?
Yeah. I'm excited to see what new stuff they have.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting.
It's real funny how the new Dodge Charger commercials have come out, and they're white with the black grill, and they look like a stormtrooper. I mean, come on, JJ, we could have done it. Anyway, I'm just hoping they don't screw it up. I've said that a million times.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably say it a million between now and Friday.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. That's my
Yeah.
birthday. I'll be 42.
Yeah.
I saw Empire was the first one I saw in the theater.
Okay.
And then they re-released Star Wars. I saw it again. And then I was able to see Return of the Jedi on opening night as a kid. So, and I saw, of course, the prequels when they were in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't a real big fan of the prequels.
Yeah.
I had a long time to think about how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I can say this, that the Clone Wars series,
Mm-hmm.
the animated series, if you haven't watched that, it makes a lot of sense to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It may be one of my favorite parts of the entire Star Wars universe.
Okay.
Of course, I got into it with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Star Wars Rebels show that's on Disney right now is really, really good as well. And it goes between it goes between episode 3 and episode 4. It's the birth of the rebellion. It's pretty good.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we just got totally off. But you get two guys sitting around talking about Star Wars the week of the release of the brand new movie, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. It's pretty exciting. Now, speaking of The Force Awakens, we're going to be there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how early we'll get there. We're at the 10:05 show, and I'm figuring we probably need to get there a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have the phone with me, and I'm not going to bootleg the film. I'm not saying I'm going to bootleg the film. I am saying that I will have the Periscope app activated while we wait on our opportunity to get into the theater. So on Friday, December the 18th, if you did not go to a midnight showing and can't get up in the morning, I'm figuring somewhere between 8 and 9 o'clock Eastern, I'll be on Periscope, and we'll be just out in the parking lot chilling. I don't know how many people's going to be there.
Yeah.
But however many people, we may talk to other people. We may be out there trying to evangelize for amateur radio. while we're standing in line.
Special event station.
Yeah, that would have been awesome, wouldn't it? Like K4SW or something. Yeah, somebody's probably already doing that.
Probably.
But I have no idea. I need to look that up. I bet somebody's going to do us. Anyway, I'm excited about the film, and I'm excited that Justin and Sarah are going to go with me. I'm previewing it for the kids. Mm-hmm. All my kids are stoked and wanting to see it. I don't know if they can yet. PG-13. I'm just, sticking to my dad, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's my kids. Justin, again, thank you. KI4WFJ, and we'll have his show notes for you on the webpage. It's photime.com or photimepodcast.com. It's always a pleasure to be here on the program with you. It's really awesome to be here with my friends, and every time I'm here with my friends. It was great to have Justin. Of course, he's like 4 miles up the road. He drove down, and we had a chat. That was really cool. First time we've done, besides the Fritz show, the first time we've done a show live for I guess you could say it that way, here in the shack, which was just a disastrous mess as I just kind of scraped everything off into the floor to get Justin a place to sit. Yeah, we had the squeaky chairs in there too, and I'm looking to replace those. I'm sitting on one right now, very still. Anyway, we thank you for being here. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. I know we're getting extremely close, and folks are still trying to get their shopping done. December the 18th, we mentioned that a few minutes ago. That is my birthday. It's also the day that The Force Awakens, and it looks like it's going to be a good deal. Now listen, Periscope is an app you install on your phone. It's iOS and Android capable. You can link it with your Twitter, and on December the 18th, Friday morning, probably around 8 o'clock Eastern Time, I'm going to be on Periscope streaming live as I wait in line to get into the theater to see Star Wars The Force Awakens, and I'm really excited about that. And Justin, his wife's going, my buddy Andy's going. So, I just realized this is going to be the last time I talk to you before Christmas, so I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. We're going to be back around the 28th to 29th, and we're going to do a New Year's show. And here's the deal. To make the New Year's show really good, we want to get you on the show. Oh, yeah, how hard is that? It's really, really so simply easy, just like 3 steps, okay? Go to the website, photimepodcast.com. Click the link on the right-hand side of the screen. It's a little gray button. You can do this from your phone or your laptop, wherever. It's a little gray button that says leave Kel voicemail or send Kel voice. It may say send. But anyway, it says Kel and voicemail, right? You click on that, and it opens a little box. You record your message. You have 90 seconds to record it. It asks for your name and your email. If you want to put your call sign in there with your name, that would be awesome. And we want to hear from you. And here's what we're asking you for. We want to know what you're planning to do with amateur radio in the new year. What are you looking to do in 2016 in amateur radio? Are you like me? You just want time to catch up with all the things that you've already started and like a third of the way through? Or do you have a brand new rig from mtcradio.com that you're going to be putting in your Shack 2.0 and you're just, awesome that way? So anyway, click the button, leave us a message. We'll play as many of those calls as we can in our upcoming program as we talk about what we're planning to do, as well as some other folks too. So please, go to the website, photimepodcast.com, click on the message tab, leave us a message, be on the show, be famous. Anyway, guys, God bless you. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday with your family, and remember what we're celebrating it for. Thank you. Until next time, 73, y'all.
Thanks for listening, downloading, and subscribing to Photime, the other ham radio podcast, presented by mtcradio.com. To subscribe, comment, share, or review, visit our show site at photimepodcast.com. Till next time, 73, y'all.